All righty. Let's. Ooh. Okay, we are on. We are live in the Facebook group. All right, so good evening, everyone. This is our pop-up homework session. I'm going to get through as many as I can tonight. I'm not since this is a pop-up and it's a bonus. I'm not promising to get through all of them. I will typically stay on for about 15 minutes. If I could stay on for longer, I would, but you guys know that I have my prospectus due on Friday. And so I actually have a few hours of writing ahead of me after a very long day. So tonight's session is all about providing you all with some additional support to go over the session 1 homework. And so because of timing and for streamlining and organization, I'm going to be looking at the items at the homework that was posted right under the homework post. So if you posted it anywhere on the wall independently, I'm not able to go and look and find and go all over the group. I will be looking at the submissions that were posted right underneath the homework post in our Facebook group. All right. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share my screen so that you all can see what I'm seeing. And I'm also, if you see me looking to the side, it's because I am I'm looking at the comments. I'm not able to see the comments while I'm streaming, so I have to have them up on a separate window. Hello, Linda. Hi, Francois. Hi, Inacia. I hope I'm pronouncing you all's name correctly. All righty. All right. So I see the comments up. All right. And I believe everyone can see my screen based on what I'm seeing here on my laptop. And so I'm going to be looking at the homework that was posted underneath the homework post, and I'm going to get through as many as I can. Okay. And so for the sake of today, we're going to be following the framework. I'm basing my feedback specifically off of the framework that was given to you today in session 1. So if you missed session 1, I definitely want to encourage you to go in and watch the replay. The replay is up, and your power positioning framework is on page 5 of the workbook. So if you use that framework and looking at how I structured the example in today's session, that served as a model or as an example for you on how to structure your power positioning framework. So the purpose of the power positioning framework is to simplify and clarify who you are, what you do, who you serve, and the outcome of someone working with you. So if you've submitted a power positioning statement that's extremely wordy, that's overly descriptive, or that just involves a lot of vagueness, I am going to suggest that you go back to the framework and simplify it a bit, okay? Because the point of this is to simplify. That's the point. You should be able to communicate within 5 seconds or less who you are, what you do, who you serve, how you serve them, and the outcome that someone gets from working with you. All right. I see you all in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. All right. So I am going to open up the comments. And I did come in. I may not specifically comment on your comment, but I did review them before coming on to here. All right. So I'm not sure if you all can expand your screen. I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger. I'm trying to see if it enlarges. Um, I'm making it as big as I can. Okay. I do want to say that. Let me see if there's a way for me to scroll in. Let me see. Okay, that worked. That helped. That all right. So I'm gonna give me a second. I'm gonna try to make sure that you all can see the screen because from what I'm seeing, it looks very small. All right. So I think that that helps a bit. All right. So I think that you all can see the feedback a little bit more. Okay. Awesome. 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 All right. There we go. I think that looks better on your end. All right. So Luce says, my books help children celebrate who they are through stories that reflect diverse families and cultures, helping them feel seen, build confidence, and grow emotionally while fostering curiosity, empathy, and a lifelong love for reading. So, while I understand that may have been the first description, Luce, what I really want to encourage you to do is to go back and use the power positioning statement to explain who you help, how you help them, and what the outcomes and results are. Okay. Um, so my books help this audience. Okay. So is this children grades K through 5? Is this, adolescents? Is this teenagers? Okay. My book helps this audience to do this, right? Because when you say celebrate who they are, we don't really know what that means. So, does that mean that they have more pride in themselves and in their history and their background? Like, what exactly does celebrate who they are mean? That can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. And so, this is one of the reasons why we want to try to stay away from ambiguous words and phrases and get really specific with who we're helping. And then you say that reflect diverse families and cultures. Now, one of the things, I don't know how you're going to feel about this. I don't know how anyone feels about this. This is not political. I am only responding to Luz in this way because she mentioned politics in the VIP session. And so one of the things that we all know is that that word diversity, even though it's all encompassing, it has become one of those phrases that has been banned in certain establishments. And so it's just depending on your politics and depending on your values. And again, the only reason why I'm mentioning this is because it was mentioned or brought up during our VIP session. And so you have to determine whether or not you want to continue to use that word, even though it's one of those trigger words right now, or whether you want to find another word that means the same thing, but is not a trigger word, right? So that's just something that you may want to consider, something to think about. You can definitely, put your feedback here in the group. We can talk about it in the VIP session. When you say helping them feel seen, build confidence, and the other reason I'm saying that is because you're going after school districts. You're going after contracts with districts and with other organizations. And so that it just depends on where you go. Okay. And whether or not that's something that you're willing to compromise, or whether or not that's something that you want to compromise. So that's totally up to you. I'm just giving some feedback, unbiased feedback here. All right. Will you say helping them feel seen, build confidence, and grow emotionally while fostering curiosity, empathy, and a lifelong for reading? So that's a lot to say. So my book helps kids K through 5. My book helps middle school students. My book helps high school students. My book helps teenagers to do this so they can. We're missing that connecting bridge. And then what's the outcome? Okay. And the other thing, Luz, that I would definitely encourage you to do, because you do want to obtain more contracts with school districts, is to use the language of the schools, use the language of the districts, especially as it pertains to their initiatives and the things that they're focusing on. So in that case, you have to think about, how does what you do increase student retention? How does what you do increase student attendance? How does what you do increase student achievement? How does what you do increase family involvement in Title I schools? I want you to think about some of these things. And you want to start using some of the language of the standards and the language of the industry in which you're going into, all right? So, or in which you want to grow in. And so for you, I would definitely suggest that you reach back out to some of those principals or those schools that you've already secured those $10,000 or $15,000 contracts with, and do some follow-ups with them. Ask them about how they've been doing since working with you, how the students have been doing since working with you. Figure out why they decided to move forward in the first place, and what were some of those things that they needed. You want to make sure that you are listening to the language that they are using, so that then you can use that same language in your messaging, instead of using messaging and language that you want to use. All right, so great job, Luce. All right, next up is Linda. She says, as a 72-year-old woman, I share my insights, photos, wisdom, and looking young and living with vitality and grace for middle-aged women who want to live their best life. So, Linda, you are, definitely qualified to talk about this, because I'm like, I pray in the next 40 years that I look half as great as you look, right? So a young sis definitely needs your strategies and your tips and techniques. When it comes to your power positioning statement, let's go back to the framework. I help, I mentor, I guide, I teach. You said women 40 and over to do what? So they can live their best life. So I help women 40 and up, or I help middle-aged women, or I teach middle-aged women. I empower middle-aged women with wisdom for looking young and living with vitality so they can live their best life. Like, what is that going to be? I help women 40 and over. I help middle-aged women to look young so they can live with vitality and live their best life. So make sure that you put that in a framework and revise that a bit. All right, Lee says, my book equips women leaders who are leading through life's healing seasons to find balance and renewed strength by combining. Okay, so we're going to pause here. My book helps women leaders to do what? So they can thrive in purpose, leadership, and entrepreneurship with peace and confidence. So all of the extra women leaders who are leading through, that's unnecessary. It's too much. It's extraneous. And the goal of this is for you to memorize this and be able to put this in your Instagram bio, your LinkedIn bio, on your website. So it needs to be straightforward. It needs to be direct. And this is too wordy. This won't fit in your Instagram or your Facebook bio if you were to try to do that. Okay. And so let's simplify this a bit and let's stick to the framework. My book helps women leaders to find balance and renew their strength so they can thrive in purpose, leadership, and entrepreneurship with peace and confidence. Everything else doesn't need to be there, but great job there. Dr. Deborah says, I help high-achieving women entrepreneurs. I help, that's your statement of action, high-achieving women entrepreneurs, that's your audience, rediscover who they are in Christ so they can regain clarity, rebuild confidence, and build a business aligned with their God-given design. That's what that would be. So using my neuroscience supported, we don't need that. We don't need that. And this isn't just for you, it's for everyone else, because the truth of the matter is the person reading this doesn't know what reset framework is. They don't know what neuroscience supported, they don't know what that is. And to be honest with you, they're not going to care until you make them care. And that's going to come through you speaking and training and talking about that, right? So that is not necessary in your power positioning statement. Okay. Now, I would even go so far as to say this. When we use statements such as rediscover who they are in Christ, what does that mean? Because that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. You follow me? That can mean different things to different people. So the question I have for you, Dr. Deborah, is when someone rediscovers who they are in Christ, what does that look like? What it like when they rediscover who they are in Christ, what does that look like? What does it look like when this high achieving woman entrepreneur rediscovers who she is in Christ? Like, how is that going to show up in her life and her business? Like, what does that look like? That's what we want to give definition to. We want to give definition to these vague and ambiguous phrases so we can really get down to the point of really understanding what it is you do. Because especially when you all are charging premium or want to charge premium, then people need to understand what they're going to walk away with. Okay? That means that we have to be very specific and clear. All right? Great work. That's a great start. Let's look. Cherise says, my book is a bold declaration of my personal sovereignty, a strength that reclaims my own narrative, impactfully empowering women to overcome by stepping into true identity, by emerging and show up, not labeling others impose, but a truth only the self can define and embody. And that sounds so very deep. Sharice, I love you. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't. We don't know what you do. So we got to clarify this. So this isn't about sounding deep. This is not about all the things. This is about getting clear. Clarity pays. Clarity pays. Someone who doesn't know you should be able to see a post, should be able to see an ad, should be able to see your social content, should be able to go on to should be able to see this and understand without confusion what it is you do. And this is not communicating that. I'm challenging you. We talked about the purpose of a challenge today. What I'm challenging you to do is to clarify your language so that you can elevate your positioning. So we're going to go back to the framework that's on page 5. If you don't have the workbook, I definitely encourage you to get it or go back and watch the replay. My book helps. I don't see that here. Who is the audience? Okay. I see you talking a lot about you, but you talking about you is not telling your audience what's in it for them. My book helps. I see you say women. My book helps women to do what? So they can. I don't see that connecting bridge. I'm literally going off of the framework. We've got to follow the framework. When I tell you I have taught thousands of experts and thousands of leaders, I kid you not, this framework. And people have been able to clarify, to elevate their positioning, and to literally monetize within 5 days from an idea. At the core of that is clarity. At the core of that is specificity. So I had to put my coaching hat on. This is not to call you out, but you submitted it because you wanted feedback, and I wouldn't be doing my job as a coach if I was not honest with you. We've got to go back to the drawing board, and we've got to use the framework on page 5. Statement of action. My book helps. My book teaches. Audience. Clearly state your audience. What does your book help this audience to do? What is that? Put that next to the action. Your connecting bridge is so they can, and that's setting you up to clarify the outcome. We're missing an outcome. We're missing a clearly defined audience. and action and the statement of action here, because you say my book is a bold declaration. It doesn't tell us if you're helping, if you're teaching, if you're guiding, if you're mentoring. So let's go back and let's revamp that. All right. I think it's 𝐏𝐚𝐢𝐝. Let me know if this makes sense. All right. My book helps parents of athletes navigate the new recruiting era and NIL landscape with confidence so they can guide their child towards scholarships and success. You nailed it. I see Lee says volleyball mom. I'm a volleyball mom. I'm a basketball mom. I'm a cheer mom. So I understand. You said my book helps. That's a statement of action going directly by the framework. My book helps is a statement of action. Parents of athletes is the audience. Very clear here. What's the action? Navigate the new recruiting era and NIL landscape with confidence. I'm very clear on what you do. You've got your connecting bridge so they can, and the outcome is guide their child towards scholarships and success. And bam, you already got 2 people saying, hey, listen, you got 3. I need what you have. Listen, add me to your list. I will purchase immediately. Great job on following the framework, but I also want to demonstrate for everyone else what the framework does. It helps people to identify what you do and whether or not they need your services. Lee and Deneen likely didn't know you before this challenge. They see your power positioning framework. Hey, send it over here. Hey, let me go ahead and pre-order your book. Hey, I need what you have because it's clear. This is the power. Y'all, we've got results right here in the group. This is the power of specificity. This is the power of clarity. And this is also the power of narrowing down what you're going to say. You don't need all the fancy words and phrases. You need to be clear so that when someone reads what you do, they can self-select and self-identify whether or not they need what you have. And they're going to say, hey, I need that. How can I learn more information? Great job. And this was an example, right? I keep telling you all, I had clients. 𝐏𝐚𝐢𝐝 already got some potential clients here. She's already got some book purchasers. She's already got some potential clients because she's calling out what she does. So I want everyone to follow the framework. Don't deviate from the framework. And I'm not saying this because I made the framework up. I'm saying this because we have guided over 2,000 to 3,000 people through this. We've seen the results. So don't do the complete opposite when you have a specific framework here and you came for help. Follow the framework. It works. All right. Delilah says, my book. All right, let's go back. My book helps. All right. So she says, we don't need the title. My book reawakens. All right. So my book reawakens. That's the statement of action. Who's the audience? I'm gonna grade y'all hard tonight because I want you to succeed. Those is not an audience. Those is not an audience. Come on, y'all. We have got to get specific. Who is the audience? Let's eliminate the ambiguity. Let's get specific. My book reawakens. Who is our audience? We're missing an audience. Okay. What's the action? We're missing an action. So they can. Connecting bridge. We're missing the connecting bridge. And what's the outcome? Follow the framework. That's what I'm looking for. Follow the framework might feel like it's challenging you. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to help you to clarify your ideas, narrow your language down so that you can be specific. And what happens is that so often we're so used to speaking all over the place and speaking vaguely and broadly and speaking with ambiguity, that we're just gonna say bump this framework. I'm gonna say what I want to say the way I want to say it, and you're not gonna get results. You came in the challenge because you want to get better results. So I would definitely encourage you to follow the framework. Follow the framework. You've got to be coachable. I see I lost some people off the live stream. Okay? Don't get too mad at me. I wouldn't be a coach if I didn't tell you the truth. I'm not somebody that's just going to tell you what you want to hear. Follow the framework. It is proven. We just literally had an in-time, real-time example. Okay? Francois, my book helps adult women recognize what narcissism is in their relationship, overcome the control it has on them, and transform so they can transform into a new fulfilling life beyond a narcissistic relationship. All right. My book helps adult women. You don't have to say adults. You don't have to say primarily women. This is where we have to choose. As I don't know if you want to say a narcissistic partner, so they can, we need to have it connect and bridge. We're missing this. So they can overcome the control it has on them and transform and create a new fulfilling life. That's where I would end it. I wouldn't put anything else in there. Inacia says, I help independent artists get noticed and maximize their brand with PR so they can finally get the exposure they deserve. That's where I would keep it. All right. All that who struggle to get, we talk a lot about language tomorrow. You don't need who should no. I help independent artists get noticed and maximize their brand with PR so they can finally get the exposure they deserve. That's where I would end it. Shakira says, my book guides professional women find freedom from performance and rediscover wholeness in Christ. My book guides professional women to find freedom from performance so they can rediscover wholeness in Christ and live with unshakable peace, clarity, and confidence. That's where I would put that. But I would challenge you to clarify what find freedom from performance means, because that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. Are we talking about, like, what kind of performance are we talking about? Because some people perform as playing a trumpet. For some people, performing is being fake or not being like. So what are we talking about here? So this is that's one of those phrases that you understand, but the people who are seeing it, they don't know. So we've got to bring clarity and specificity here. All right, this is very long, Sandra. All right, so my book helps faith-driven solopreneurs lay the groundwork for financial understanding and mindset alignment so they can build with purpose, price with confidence, and profit with clarity. Everything else it doesn't need to be there. They cannot fit in the Instagram bio. It can't fit on the header of your website. It's too much. So let's stick with the framework. My book helps faith-driven solopreneurs lay the groundwork for financial understanding so they can build with purpose, price with confidence, and profit with clarity. That's where I would leave it. Tyler says, my book helps elementary students with health challenges build their confidence, so they can see every obstacles as a chance to grow stronger mentally. Awesome. Deneen says, my book helps teachers and leaders I'm missing an action here, so they can missing an outcome. We've got who are facing burnout. We don't need all that. We don't need the who are facing burnout and need to play. No, speak to the outcome. My book helps teachers and leaders to do this so they can do that. All right. Sherry says, my book helps aspiring social entrepreneurs connect with their purpose so they can build profitable brands that create meaningful change. Great job with following the framework, Sherry. My only feedback here is where you say connect with their purpose. That's one of those ambiguous phrases. We need some specificity there. But other than that, I'm understanding what you do. I just want some clarity around connecting with their purpose and what that means, okay? S.A. Foster says, my book helps women to show, are we going to focus on live distinctly? Or through authenticity? Are we going to focus on helps women to showcase their unique strengths? Are we going to focus on staying true to their core identity? Because you listed 3 things. So which one of these things do you want to lead with? We're going to focus on the one. Which one of these are you going to lead with? So they can stand out in their daily lives through faith and integrity. Okay. Daphne says, my book teaches women of faith how to cultivate the environment to heal after hearing a HIV health diagnosis and live beyond what they heard so that it doesn't overwhelm them, define them, or harassment so they can find peace. All right. So my book helps women of faith. If we say to heal after hearing the HIV health, how are we healing? So are we accepting? Are we embracing? Like, when you say to heal after hearing a HIV health diagnosis, what does heal mean? All right. So they can live beyond their diagnosis and or live, I don't even say live beyond what they heard. So they can redefine their life and live with joy and peace. All right. Because remember what I said today, we don't want to talk about the challenge. We want to talk about what is the outcome? They don't want to be overwhelmed. They don't want it to define them. They don't want to be harassed. So we don't need to say that. What is the opposite of that? The opposite of that is what they want. They want peace. They want freedom. They want joy. Okay. That's what I would focus on. All right. Jackson, this is going to be okay. We only have 2 more because I do have to go. All right. I'm only going to do one for the sake of this. My book helps school leaders and counseling professionals design and sustain youth-centric ethical systems of support so they can protect student brilliance. Okay, you're merging 2 things. Choose one. A school leader and a counseling professional, they're 2 totally different roles and they have 2 totally different responsibilities. And with trying to merge those, it's just going to create confusion. Choose one audience that you're writing to. Choose one and lead with that. Because even a leader in education and a professional in education, those are 2 different roles with 2 different challenges. Choose one. The role and the responsibilities of the school leaders are very different from the roles and the responsibilities of the teachers. Choose one, okay? And lead with that. All right, Riggins says, my book guides educators in high need schools to write and self-publish nonfiction books with ease so they can increase their influence, impact, and income. All right. So I guess my question here is, if they're writing and self-publishing nonfiction books with ease, is this for school? Because if it's not for school, then why are we mentioning high educators in high need schools? Okay. Are these educators starting writing careers, or are they writing to start, to start a business? Like, it's a little, I'm a little bit confused here, because you said increase influence, impact, and income, but are they increasing their influence, impact, and income in the schools? Outside of school, in a business? You follow what I'm saying? It's a little bit confusing. So if you're helping teachers to write and self-publish nonfiction books, what's the point of that? So they can create a new stream of income, so they can monetize their expertise and create a stream of income outside of their 9 to 5. Like, what is it? Are they writing and self-publishing books so they can help their students do it? Like, I'm a little bit confused on what the outcome is and why we're mentioning high need schools. Okay, so I would definitely, you're on the right track because you use the framework, but we've got to clarify who we're targeting and why we're targeting them. Okay, so great job, everyone. That concludes the day 1 homework review. I typically only have capacity to review these the night that I review them. So definitely take the feedback that I share, revise it for your own. And then after you've revised it and you feel comfortable with it, then feel free to update your social platforms, your websites, and everything with your new messaging, okay? Because that's the point of today, which is positioning. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow, and we'll be on at 9:30 each night from about 9:30 to 10 p.m. as I give you all feedback on the homework. It does need to be posted by 9:30 under the homework post if you like feedback. Now, tomorrow we're talking about packaging. Day 2 is all about packaging. And tomorrow you're going to learn how to bridge your book into your offers, such as coaching, consulting, speaking, bulk book orders, retreats, and more. So we're going to be looking at how we can develop beyond the book offers and package them so that we can leverage our book to sell our offers, all right, for premium prices. So super excited to get into tomorrow's session. I will see our VIPers at 12 p.m. noon Eastern. I will see everyone else in the general training room at 1 p.m. And this is your final night to upgrade to VIP. If you like my eyes on your work, if you'd like to ask questions, we are closing VIP tomorrow, so you won't be able to upgrade tomorrow from general admission to VIP if you choose. All right, so I will see everybody for day 2. Great job, everyone, and kudos to all of you all who took time to do your homework, to post it under the homework post. Great job. This is a great foundation, great way to get started, and I'm looking forward to all of the amazingness that you will continue to create in the Monetize Your Book Challenge. You guys have a great rest of your evening and good night.